So today I'm going to show you what tooth grinding at night really means and what you can actually do to protect yourself from it. Now, I'm a dentist and I see firsthand how grinding can damage your teeth. But what's even more interesting is what it reveals about your sleep. But first, what exactly is teeth grinding or bruxism? Now, here's the thing. Most people think grinding is just clenching your jaw from stress, but bruxism is a bit more specific. The technical term is something called rhythmatic masticatory muscle activity. And this just means that your chewing muscles fire and burst in a regular pattern while you're asleep. And here's what I find fascinating. Most of the time, this happens right after a tiny sleep disruption. Your brain flickers awake for a few seconds, your nervous system activates, and your heart rate shifts, and your jaw muscles join in. So instead of being a random bad habit, grinding is really your body's way of reacting during sleep. And for some people, it becomes a repeated pattern every night. And this is why this matters. It's not just your jaw acting up, it's a sign that your sleep is unstable. So, why does grinding actually happen? And there isn't just one right answer here. So, researchers have pointed to a few different explanations. And when you put them together, you can start noticing the bigger picture. And the first one is called the arousal reflex. So, when you shift out of deeper sleep, even for just a few seconds, your nervous system flickers on and the brain shows a burst of activity, your heart rate jumps, and in some people, the jaw muscles also fire. And that little chain reaction can trigger a short burst of grinding. And the second idea is what's sometimes called the airway defense hypothesis. And the thought here is that when your airway starts to narrow during sleep, small movements of the jaw or tongue might help reopen it. And by shifting things slightly forward, the airway widens just enough to make breathing easier again. And the third factor here is stress and lifestyle. So, for example, things like caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, high stress levels, they don't actually cause grinding, but they can make your nervous system more jumpy at night. And when those micro arousals happen, your jaw is more likely to get pulled into the response. And by putting all of this together, you can start noticing that grinding isn't just a random bad habit. It's your body's way of reacting during sleep. But this also raises a question. Why does all of this actually matter? And that's because the effects go way beyond just your teeth. And let's start with the obvious part, and that's your teeth. So basically, night after night, grinding wears down enamel, which is the protective layer of your teeth or the protective shell. And once it thins, your teeth become more sensitive, fillings can crack, and in some cases, teeth can chip or break. And it also puts extra strain on your jaw joints, which is why some people wake up with jaw tension or morning headaches. But that's only half the story. And every grinding episode is linked to a tiny sleep disruption. These microarousals break up the deeper stages of sleep, the ones that your body needs to feel restored. So even if you're in bed for 7 or 8 hours every night, your night is more fragmented and you wake up less refreshed. And there's also another layer to this. Most people don't realize that every time your nervous system fires during grinding, it sends a jolt through your body's stress system. The heart rate rises, adrenaline spikes, and your body gets a little bursts of fight or flight chemistry all night long. And one night won't make the difference, but repeated every night, that kind of load can leave you feeling more fatigued, more inflamed, and less resilient. And for some people, grinding may even be a warning sign of something deeper, like unstable breathing during sleep. And it doesn't mean everyone who grinds has sleep apnea, but if you grind and you also snore and wake up tired, or have pauses in your breathing, it's worth taking seriously. So, grinding isn't just a dental issue, it's a window into the stability of your sleep. And that's why knowing what you can do really matters here. So, if grinding is your body's way of reacting during sleep, what can you do about it? And I'm going to break it down into four different layers: protecting your teeth, reducing the triggers, supporting stable breathing, and when to get help. And the first thing is protecting your teeth. And this is the first and most important practical step that you can do. Now, grinding puts a huge pressure on your enamel, way more than normal chewing. And over time, the pressure thins out the enamel, it cracks fillings, and it can even chip your teeth. And once the enamel is gone, it doesn't really grow back or regenerate. And this is when a custom night guard, a shield made by a dentist, creates a barrier between the teeth. It's not going to really stop the grinding itself, but can help spread the forces and protect against wear. And think of it like shock absorbers for your teeth. And the other benefit is night guards can also help reduce the morning jaw tension by keeping the bite balanced overnight. Now, if you're not at the point of needing a night guard, there are also smaller things you can do. Things like using a high fluoride toothpaste or gel before bed to give the enamel extra resistance against acid and wear. And the fluoride basically integrates into the enamel surface and makes it stronger against grinding forces. And one key point here is to not rinse it all away as well. Make sure you leave a thin layer overnight to give that extra protection while the saliva levels are low. And the second thing here is to reduce common triggers. Now, grinding usually happens after a tiny arousal, as we said. And the more reactive your nervous system is, the more likely your jaw muscles will join in. And this is where lifestyle matters. For example, caffeine in the late afternoon or evening keeps the nervous system active for hours. Alcohol before bed relaxes muscles but fragments sleep, which increases microarousals. Nicotine is also a stimulant, so smokers often have more grinding episodes. And stress also plays an important role. If you go to bed wired, your system is already on edge. And this doesn't mean that you have to cut out everything, but shifting caffeine earlier in the day, keeping your alcohol moderate, and finding a way to decompress before bed, even 10 minutes of reading or a short walk, reduces how jumpy your system is and when those arousals happen, and therefore less reactivity, and that equals fewer grinding bursts. And the third thing here is to support stable breathing. Now, grinding is sometimes linked to airway instability, which is your body's way of keeping breathing open. And that's why mouth breathing or nasal congestion can make things worse. So, the nose is basically designed for breathing. It filters, warms, and humidifies air, and it even produces nitric oxide, which helps oxygen uptake in the lungs. And when you're blocked up and forced to mouth breathe, then the airflow is rougher, the airway narrows more easily, and your sleep becomes less stable. And here, a simple saline rinse before bed can reduce congestion and can open up the nose. Nasal strips also can physically help widen the passages, making it easier to stay nasal breathing through the night. And these don't stop grinding completely, but they can help lower one of the common triggers in keeping the airflow stable. And that means fewer disruptions that can set off the jaw muscles. And number four is to know when to seek help. So, grinding on its own is something you can manage. But if it happens alongside other symptoms like loud snoring, waking up unrefreshed, or someone noticing you pause in breathing, it might be a sign of something deeper, like sleep disordered breathing. And that, again, doesn't mean grinding equals sleep apnea, but the two overlapping and catching it early can make a huge difference for the long term health. And this is where speaking to your dentist or to your doctor is important. Dentists here can protect teeth and spot wear patterns, but if there are red flags for sleep issues, a medical evaluation is worth pursuing. All right, and this is the end of this video on teeth grinding. I hope I gave you some clarity and practical tips you can use, and thank you for watching.